On July 24th, the White House dropped a major executive order called Ending Crime and Disorder on America's Streets. But don't let the title fool you. This goes beyond public safety. It's a direct shift in how our nation addresses homelessness, addiction, and mental illness. And more importantly, how funding will now be allocated. Now, whether you agree with politics or not, this order is set to reshape the landscape of homelessness in America and redefine your role in the solution. Welcome to Live for Free, where we transform lives. And whether you're running a transitional home or just starting to learn the ropes, this episode will give you the knowledge and tools to pivot, position, and power up your mission. So let's dive right in. Now, here's a breakdown of what that order said in plain language. Basically, cities are being forced to crack down on street homelessness, drug use, squatting, and tent encampments. Now, what this means is basically we are now going to criminalize the homeless, which is so unfortunate because as you think about what they're already dealing with, they're already traumatized with whatever is going on in life with them. They now will be arrested for simply sleeping on the streets. Now imagine if you even have a tent community that's created. They call them tent encampments, but that is a community that these individuals rely on to be able to share resources, be able to work together. This is their community. And to then have that same community ripped from them within literally in hours, this is what's happening. Now, just imagine for a moment if I were to come into your home and bust through your door and say, you have a few minutes to grab whatever you need to grab and you need to leave from here. That is what's happening. Now, I know there's arguments on both sides related to encampments, but until you've ever had to live it or you see it, you have no clue as to how that could impact that individual. And we must remember, these are individuals, these are people, they're not things. And to treat them in that way is just not humane. But I digress. As we look at what this order does, it's basically giving cities the opportunity to do that and telling them that they must do that. And they're taking federal grants and giving it to those cities that are actually doing the crackdown. So that's what this order is doing. It's giving them money for cracking down on those things. And it's also taking money away from agencies that are providing harm reduction services. Now, those of you who might not be familiar with what harm reduction is, it's basically meeting people where they are rather than demanding that they come in sober or they come in, completely free of any type of drug use. It's meeting them where they are. The goal of harm reduction is clearly to keep them alive, to be able to reduce disease transmission, but then promoting health. That's what we want to do. Even if they're not ready to quit using drugs, we are providing a way that they can do it safely. That's what they are now taking away from the system. They are now being required to not get funding for that because they're going to lose funding if they have any type of harm reduction service, and they're going to be more along the lines of treatment, forcing people into treatment, which is the next phase of what this order is talking about. It's specifically saying that all of the funding now that was going toward harm reduction and then housing first, those funds will be diverted to more of a treatment first philosophy. So it's really promoting more for individuals to get treatment and to not focus on the housing first. So those are some critical changes that are going to impact are cities across this country, not just cities, but the individuals who are receiving those services, the agencies that is receiving that funding, all of that will be diverted elsewhere. So as you think about this space and think about the changes that this is doing, it is significant. And when you think of the grants and how the grants will start going forward, because money will still be available, it's just not going to go toward harm reduction or housing first. It's going to go more toward having individuals take treatment, go into treatment, and some type, and even court ordered treatment. It will be a requirement for funding to go toward that. So as you think about those type of changes, and there's another change related to those who have to register. Now, you already know that individuals who have to register as sex offenders already have it hard for housing. And depending on which state or county you're in, some sex offenders are allowed to be in homes where they are not related to the children, as long as, I mean, all guidelines are different. Well, this specifically says that sex offenders can't be housed with unrelated children. So if you aren't related to that person, you will not receive any funding. You cannot use any funds for that. So when you think about all of those changes that are now being put in place from this executive order, that is significant change. So, why does that matter? As you think about this particular space, before we go into that though, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so now. Go ahead and click the subscription as well as the notifications. I'll be talking more along this and other topics related to transitional housing, and you definitely don't want to miss it. So, as we get into this space and talk about why it matters, you as a person who's thinking about transitional housing, or you're a purpose driven leader that has a desire to build a program that helps people, you are positioned as the solution. You very well could already have a model that you've created that allows for you to create your programming around these elements. When you're positioned like that, your model's positioned like that, you're already positioned for the right type of housing, the structure, the training, the accountability, but most importantly, the healing that these individuals can have. And that is a significant place to be in, regardless of whether you're for profit or nonprofit. If you've ever heard me in my private community, or if you're one of my VIP students, you understand that there are ways to get that funding, whether you are a nonprofit or a for-profit, and I can direct you in that. So if you want more information on how you can position yourself for that, definitely reach out to me at bookwithtony.com. You can book a 15-minute session with me and we can talk through it. But as you think about your model, because you can position yourself as a solution, you could potentially have a model that has some drug-free housing included, as well as some skills training that you can create to help make sure that they do not become homeless again, or whichever population you're working with. You also should have, if you have a program set up, a structured program. It's not just housing. There's several people out here who are providing housing to the unhoused, and they're working with agencies, and all they do is provide housing. You need to do more than housing. So when you can position yourself to do more than housing and meet these type of needs, then you're really going to be ahead of that curve. And that's really where you want to be, is ahead of the curve. I can tell you, one of my students who launched a men's recovery home that has daily devotionals, they have mandatory meetings, they have employment coaching, all of those things they have available to them to be able to do that. And that's the type of model that is fundable when others get cut. So you want to make sure that you're positioned to be the solution. And you can do that working with me through our VIP program. You can do it through attending our school community, which is a small investment monthly that you pay to learn these type of things. I've got training available there, but you can clearly position yourself as the solution. And and if you do have a program, let's say that I mentioned earlier, that is more about the housing, you can pivot. This is the perfect opportunity to pivot from being a housing only to a housing with services. And guess what? There are ways that you can do this where it's probably easier to partner. And I can talk you through all of that and how to do that well. So when you know that you can create something where you can be the solution and not just offering a bed, then your program won't be cut. And even if this does become a situation where the program's not cut, you are already ahead of the game, being housing with services, transitional housing, talking about transitioning individuals into something better. We're not just talking about housing. We're not just talking about putting someone in a house and moving to the next. We're talking about changing people's lives. Also, why this matters is it can teach you how to truly track your outcomes. Because at the end of the day, people care more about receipts than they do about feeling good. You need to have more that backs you than just simply makes you feel good about what you're doing. You need to be able to have receipts. And being able to document what it is that you're doing with your programming is critical to you being able to qualify for funding that comes available in this area. Because the government wants to see impact. They could care two flips about a feel good story about how you were able to place somebody. Which is wonderful. How, housing the unhoused and getting them off the streets, wonderful. But what results are you going to get them? Those are the type of results that they want to see. And I can show you how to walk down and do that. Now, I can honestly say, as you're thinking about this space, you need to think about how you're going to measure those things and what systems you should use to be able to measure yourself and measure what you're able to do. How long is someone able to stay sober? How many residents were you able to get jobs? These are the type of things that matter at the end of the day. And this is why I teach you how to create the forms necessary, the progress trackers that we put in place, all of the outcomes that you need to be able to create. We can do that. And those are the things that I'm excited about, walking people who are my VIP through this process. So the last thing I'll point out that you are able to do, maybe we got two other things, but the other reason why this matters to you is you'll be able to create a natural referral source from individuals simply from this order. And I can show you how to do that, working with the courts, working with the hospitals, so that you can be able to get the referrals that you need in order to fill your transitional housing program. And there's not going to be anyone else like you. And that's what's going to be even more unique. I work with students across this country, and I love how everybody has beautiful programs that they're creating from the heart of what they want to build. But what's so exciting? Not all of them are the same. They're not the same. I don't teach things just for you to cookie cut. Do this, do this, do this, do this. I don't teach that. I teach to what you want. What is it that you want to build? Because what you want to build, the heart of what you want to build, that's what we're going to build today. I don't want you to replicate what I've created. This is mine. I built this for me. But I want to teach you how to build what you need to build for you. And nobody can touch you. Why? Because it's yours. You built it off of what you wanted to build, not off of what someone else wanted you to build.